Då.
Thomas baby doll har Staren, Lassen, Söder, Majken, Staren. Alla männer av för jasna, Straun, mit langen, blonden Haaren, Waren. I am Don Juan kom monster, blöde Jannan, Sosa, Stoppelhandan. Nasse, Kikiki och Gröne, Tönisjan. Darling, komm mit mir aus Divan, will ich lieben, ach, du hast so vielen. Dein Gesicht ist wie aus Marzipan und auf der Busen fasst dich gut an. Und du kannst nicht lassen anzufassen, hinzufassen, dran zu fassen. Nimm die Foto mit, mein Sohn, ich kenn dich schon. Ich hab ein süßes Bonbon in meinem kleinen Salon. Von dem Bonbon möcht mancher naschen. In meiner Situation ist keine Rede davon, dass eine davon diesen Flaschen. Doch bist du stark und wirklich nett, dann werd ich plötzlich ganz kokett, dann bin ich nicht mehr Fried, wer weiß, was geschieht. Aus Liebe mach ich es schon, du kriegst mein süßes Bonbon, ganz ohne Trick. Hast du ein Glück?
Recognize the face, the haunting Swedish actor who starred in Ingmar Bergman's films and then went on to a wide range of American movies where he almost always plays the villain. Whatever the part, he's generally recognized as one of today's great international actors. With us on Signature, Max Von Sydow.
Someone wrote somewhere, there's nothing harder than to get a Swede to talk about himself. Is that true about you?
We shall see. I think it is difficult to get Swedes to talk, to open up, if that's what you're talking about. Swedes are shy people, I think, and particularly if they are forced to speak a foreign language. But also in Sweden, Swedes are shy people. I don't know why, but I think that's the case.
If Swedes are generally shy, and you're a Swede, why are you an actor?
Probably just because I'm shy, or I was at least when I was a child. I was a very shy young kid, and I was an only child. And so I didn't have the privilege of learning how to be with brothers and sisters, and learn how to behave or how to communicate with siblings. And I had difficulties to communicate with my friends when I grew up. And I think that was part of the reason why I wanted to become an actor. I didn't know this. This was nothing I was aware of, but this is what I have kind of understood later, that acting gave me an opportunity to express my feelings, and in a way that I didn't dare to use in everyday life. And also it gave me a chance to communicate with the audience and with my fellow actors. I started in high school, and just by accident, and that led me into acting. I had all kinds of plans, of course, from the beginning. Not to become an actor, I wanted to become I think a physician. I wanted to be an architect, engineer, all kinds of things.
Now, so often when we talk to actors, they come from troubled, tormented may be too strong a word, families, unbalanced, acting almost as an escape. What was your family like?
My family was a very quiet, middle-class family, and I don't think I tried to escape from them. I had a very nice, very quiet childhood, and no problems with my parents. They did not object when I wanted to become an actor, not really. My father had other plans, but he didn't make any problems.
If you'll forgive me, it almost seems like you're too well-balanced to be an actor.
I don't think you have to be unbalanced to be an actor. I think that I hear often grown-ups watching little children who are very outgoing, very active. They do all kinds of funny things, and that's, he will become an actor, she will become a comedian or something. I don't think so, because it is those, I think those children who hide in the closet, those are the ones who might become actors later on.
You said somewhere that you don't consider yourself the kind of actor who becomes the role. If it's a gangster, you begin to think of yourself as a gangster, that there's a... Can you explain what you meant? I mean, as you know, Americans are famous for our, quote, method actors.
Yes. I think that when I started out, I considered myself being a, quote, intellectual actor, an intellectual actor, believing that there was no such thing as becoming the part you wanted to portray. I felt that you had to plan it all. And of course you have to. Later on I have changed my position there. I think that all actors are both intellectual and emotional. They have to be. You have to plan, you have to figure out what you want to do, but then you use your intuition. You have to rely on your own experiences. You have to rely on what you have gone through emotionally. You have to find out what your own emotional language might look like. And you are not supposed to show your own feelings, but you are supposed to present the feelings of the character, and you have to know the language to express those feelings. I'm not supposed to show myself, I'm supposed to show the character I'm portraying. And in order to do that, you have to have a certain technique, of course. And you have to study other people, you have to study yourself, and literature, anything.
Obviously, you started in Sweden. By good fortune, you ended up with Ingmar Bergman. Tell me what kind of director he was. I mean, after all, his movies are so acclaimed.
He is, I think, as close as I can figure the ideal of a director. He started out working in the theater, and he has worked in the theater all through his career. I met him at one of the municipal theaters in Sweden, a wonderful large theater with 2 stages that they produced everything.
Does the state pay you as an actor in Sweden?
This was a municipal theater, so that theater is supported by the city and by the government, yes. So, yes, of course. But he was one of the directors there, and I was hired at this theater and spent one theater season working with him, I think, in 2 theater productions. Then in the summer, he asked me if I could join him for his production of The Seventh Seal, which I did, which was my first film with him. And that was the beginning. And after that, I worked with him at that theater for 4 years, and worked in his films almost every summer, all through the 50s, and many films also during the 60s.
You were saying you consider him the ideal director?
I think so. He knows both theater and films so well, and he doesn't take away all the initiative from the actor. He gives you a lot of freedom. He makes you feel part of the creative process. He doesn't tell you all the details. He establishes a relationship of mutual giving and taking, which is wonderful.
Let's jump to America. Leave your Swedish career behind for a moment. Why is it in our films you are almost always the bad guy?
The trouble being a Swede in this country, or rather not being American, not being English, is that my choice of parts is limited, because I have to play the foreigner, one way or the other, or I have to play the immigrant who still has an accent or something like that. And most of the times the foreigner in the play, if there is such a thing, is the villain. So that is my problem. But
let me stop you there.
Yes?
Why is the foreigner the villain? Is that...
Not always, but frequently the foreigner is the villain.
Why is that?
Well, I don't know, but particularly in adventure stories or suspense in thrillers, for example, today, they deal with political matters, say agent, suspense films or similar things. Then, of course, the villain has to be somebody from the other side. So that's it. The trouble is that all villains are not fun to play. Many of them are cliches. And it's wonderful if you find a good villain who is not a cliche.
I was struck, as a matter of fact, by the number of American films you've made preparing this. Many of the movies didn't seem up to your talent.
Thank you.
I don't think that comes as a surprise for me to say that.
Maybe not.
Why?
I haven't seen them all. I have to admit.
You do a movie, but make sure you don't go to it?
No, I try to see them always, but sometimes it just so happens that I'm not there. I'm not, say, wherever it is being edited or...
You were enticed to Hollywood shores from Sweden with a movie in which you played Jesus Christ.
Yes.
If I was an actor, I think that would be the last part I'd ever accept.
Yes, probably. I didn't accept it. I was asked, before that happened, I was asked to be in another one, play the same part. It was a remake of the old King of Kings. It was done with somebody else. It did not turn out very well. I was glad I did not do it. Later on, I was approached to do Jesus in The Greatest Story Ever Told, and I did not want to do it. I turned it down, and I kept turning it down for a long time. Because I didn't want to do it because I was afraid to play a religious part. I was afraid to play Jesus. It's an impossible part to play. And I hadn't seen any films made in Hollywood with biblical subjects, which I had liked, so I was scared. However, finally I was invited to go to Hollywood to see Mr. Stevens, whom I hadn't met, George Stevens.
If I interrupt you for a second.
Yes?
From Sweden, what did Hollywood look like? What did your friends say? I mean, it must have been, did it look like that was kind of Gomorrah on the Pacific?
You mean before I got there? Yeah, of course, everybody warned me.
What did they say?
They said, of course, you will be. It is, okay, they ask you to play a part in a movie about Christ, but it is actually the devil who is tempting you to do this. And they went on and on. But, however, I met Mr. Stevens, and he appeared to be a very, very wonderful man. And he showed me things which made me convinced that he was going to do it in a different way. Carl Sandburg was in on the screenplay, for example, and he had written, there was not a screenplay, a completed screenplay at that time, but he had written sketches of scenes which were wonderful, very beautiful, poetic scenes which were not, which played on several levels, and I liked it very much. So I finally agreed, and I don't regret it. It was a very strange but very wonderful experience. It did not come out the way I had hoped it would, but it has some wonderful things in it, I think.
You, in effect, left Ingmar Bergman and his tightly knit crew to come do this film.
For a while, yes.
Was there resentment there? One gets the sense, just the faint smell that perhaps you fell out of favor with your mentor.
No, I don't think so. I made several films with him after that, all through the 60s. And I don't think so. Now I haven't worked with him for a while, for quite a while.
Does one get tired of being considered somewhat just, I mean, when we say a film, we don't say a Max Von Sydow film. It's always a Bergman film.
Yes, well, I am very proud having